Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and in this video I would like to share with you a very fascinating game played by Garry Kasparov against Predrag Nikolic. This game was played in 1992 at Manila Chess Olympiad. The outstanding individual performance of the entire competition was that of Kasparov himself, who scored an unbeaten 8.5 points out of 10 on top board, thus proving a superb inspiration for his teammates. Now let's see what happened on the board. Kasparov started the game with d4 and d5 by Nikolic. c4, c6, we see the Slav defense, knight c3 and e5. Black goes for the sharp Winawer Countergambit. D takes e5, d4, knight d4, queen a5 check, bishop d2. Another popular alternative is knight d2, but in the game we see bishop d2. Queen takes e5, knight g3, queen d6. Though black has already made too many queen moves, but black stands reasonably well, and his pawn on d4 exerts a cramping effect on the white position. Knight f3, knight f6, queen c2, bishop e7, white castles queenside and black castles kingside. We have opposite side castlings, and this is going to be a very promising sharp game. e3, d takes e3. Here Kasparov sank into thought which appeared to some onlookers to be a waste of precious minutes. Why not immediately play the obvious bishop takes e3 and see where is going black to place his queen? F takes e3 by Kasparov, and here is the answer. Kasparov is accepting a weak isolated pawn on e3 in order to transfer his dark squared bishop on the long diagonal by playing bishop c3, thus putting pressure on black's kingside. Queen c7 and the logical continuation of f takes e3. Bishop g4, bishop d3. Now these both bishops will start creating problems for black. Knight d7, bishop f5, and bishop takes f5, which is a mistake. It was better to play rook d8. If rook d4, then bishop takes f3 followed by g6, though white has a slight advantage, but all in all the players have equal chances. But in the game after bishop f5 we see bishop takes f5, and after knight takes f5 already there are serious issues in black's camp. Right now the bishop on e7 is under attack. Rook e8 was played, but it turns out that with this knight f5 move, Kasparov has created another devastating threat. This time he went for knight takes g7. Look at this powerful sacrifice. King takes g7 and queen f5. Now white will start exploiting the weakness of this diagonal. Right now the threat is rook takes d7 because that knight on f6 is pinned. That's why we see knight f8. Black wants to meet queen g5 check with knight g6. That's why Kasparov played h4. Already queen g5 check can't be met with knight g6 because of this h5 move. h6, black is taking under control the g5 square, but now comes g4. Queen c8, black is seeking salvation in queen exchange. Queen takes c8 by Kasparov, but actually he could also keep the queens on the board and play queen c2 and then go for g5. But in the game after queen c8 we see queen takes c8, rook takes c8 and g5, and now Kasparov will win back the sacrificed piece. Knight h7, e4, still he's not hurrying to capture on f6, is activating this e pawn. Rook d8, rook f1, king f8, and finally as that knight is no longer pinned we see g takes f6, bishop takes f6 and e5. Material equilibrium has been re-established, but black pieces stand very passive and white enjoys pressure in all parts of the board. Bishop g7, rook g1, the rooks are for the open files. c5, king c2, white is not allowing any possible rook intrusion and also is moving his king away from the c1 h6 diagonal. Rook e6, rook g4, bishop h8 and b4, b6, b takes c5, b takes c5 and rook b1. Now the rook wants to penetrate black's camp. Rook a6. In return, black is coming after the pawn on a2 and rook b2 by Kasparov, but actually he could sacrifice the pawn on a2 and go for rook b7. If rook takes a2, then bishop b2. If h5, then rook f2, and if king g8, then rook takes f7. Again, this should be winning, but in the game after rook a6, we see rook b2, and only after bishop g7, Kasparov went for rook b7. Actually, instead of bishop g7, it was better to play rook b6 and not allow the rook to intrude inside the 7th rank. If rook b5, then h5, although even in this case white has a huge advantage and great winning chances. But in the game after rook b2, we see bishop g7, which allows white to play rook b7. A nice move by Kasparov. He's allowing black to win the pawn on a2, king b3, rook a6 and e6. Look at this powerful move. With this move, white both attacked the bishop on g7 and also the pawn on f7. Also there is this e7 threat. It's over, guys. Black can't neutralize all the threats. Rook takes e6 was played. Well, if bishop takes c3, then in this case black king can easily get checkmated. In the game after e6, we see rook takes e6, but after rook takes g7, Nikolic resigned. Right now the knight is hanging the pawn on f7. If knight f6, then this time rook takes f7 and then bishop takes f6. It's over, guys. That's why after rook takes g7, Predrag Nikolic resigned. This was a very energetic and dynamic game by the world champion. This game won the gold medal for the single most brilliant win of the entire Manila Chess Olympiad. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this game. For more games, consider subscribing to my channel. I will see you in the next video.